Hey everybody, welcome back to my weekly top reads. Now these are going to be my top 5 comics that I read this week, and like I said before, I do read a ton of comics, so please excuse me if I am a little behind on some issues, but to be fair, I give everybody time for some spoilers, so there will be some spoilers this episode. So let's just dive into my top 5 recommended reads of the week. Starting off with number 5, we have A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance number 5. Now, this comic in particular, I was not really feeling it. I did not think that I was going to like it as much when I read the synopsis. However, when I started reading it, it really started to play like a movie in my head, specifically because the main character resembles a lot like Benedict Wong, who plays Wong in the MCU, and honestly, I think he's a great fit for this comic. I think it's really interesting, and I do at my shop call this comic Wong Place, Wong Time, because Wong is really at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I think it just really fits so well with this. In this issue in particular, you really get the really suspenseful feeling of this, of Wong trying to save the woman and her child, and unfortunately things just don't go the way that they are expecting. He's expecting to flee the country and have everybody safe. However, there is a man with a bandage going after him, trying to kill him, as well as all these other mafia members thinking that he is this mafia killer killing off these people, and he's really not. He's really just trying to save this family, and I just find it so suspenseful throughout the entire time. So really picked up this issue, and I believe it's the end of the story arc, so you're really gonna get a nice conclusion in this issue, which I really enjoyed. I cannot wait to see what happens next. In my 4th place top read for the week, it's going to be Supermassive. It was a one-shot issue that tied in Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, and Inferno Red Girl. And honestly, I thought it was so fun. I think it is the adult Power Rangers that we've really been needing. I mean, yes, Power Rangers was back in the day, and it was really fun when I was young. However, having this, adult version of, our own creators, and, we kind of get our own Megazord in this issue, I really enjoyed it, and I really like learning about the new characters. I like how this world is opening up to such a massive thing, and I really enjoy that. I think having a brand new superhero world that's not Marvel and DC is so cool. Frankly, I think it is so much more interesting because we're starting to get new characters. Do you love them? Do you hate them? All kinds of things, and I honestly just absolutely really loved it. There was a gorgeous splash page in the center of the book that really was so cool to fold out, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun, action-packed. Is it the most in-depth storyline ever? No. However, if you want to learn more about these characters, you're more than glad to go and read their own series, which I really enjoyed. Coming in my number 3rd spot is going to be Step by Buddy Step number 1. This comic I have been waiting for a really long time. This team, C. Superior and Martiz Baraga, they have done a boom comic called Coda a while back, and honestly, Coda was a really big standout to me. Coda was something I've never really read before. It was fantasy, love, it was bright, but it was dark, and I was really excited to see this artist, and especially C. Superior, do something very unique and another brand new creator own, and they didn't let me down with Step by Buddy Step. I thought this comic was so cool. It's a completely wordless comic, so you really have to dive into the pictures and the story and learn through the characters by their emotions in the images. And by the end of it, when you get the big reveal, it is very much like, wow, how am I going to get these answered, frankly, without words? And I find that so interesting. I find either comics without words or without pictures, some of the more interesting ones, because I feel like they're so hard to tell a story. However, I could still feel the story through them, and I think that's really interesting and really a great way and form of art. So I really enjoyed Step by Step. It's a 4-part miniseries, so if you haven't read this or picked it up, I'm sure it's at your local comic book shop. Definitely give that a check out. My number 2 spot is going to go to The Fourth Man #2. Wow, okay. So I am a pretty big fan of AWA. I think AWA is kind of like the TV show version of comics. They're usually limited series. However, if they are very popular and they become a success, they get a second season, so to say, or a sequel. And frankly, I really enjoy them because they're more realistic in a way, but yet tend to have a more different creative side than other comics. So in particular, Fourth Man, it's drawn by Mike Dando Jr., who I absolutely love, and he's done tons of Marvel, DC work. He's done tons of work throughout the time, and now he's finally settled into like his own world. And in this comic in particular, he definitely uses references of famous actors. So like there's like Paul Giamatti that looks like in it. But the reason why this comic really stood out to me is because I really enjoy forensic files. I really like diving into like serial killers and things like that. And this comic in particular focuses on 3 men that were murdered and how their murders all connect and tie together using forensics evidence. So honestly, I think the way it plays out is very interesting. I think each issue is like an episode, and you're learning about each death in particular, and I find that so fascinating and different. We don't really have something like that here or out right now, and so I find it incredibly cool. I love the art, and I just can't wait to see how this is all going to intertwine eventually. And my number 1 recommended read this week goes to Strange Academy #16. Now, I know I am a little behind. However, like I said, I read quite a bit of comics. This one tends to always try to make it at the top of my list, but sometimes, it falls down because I look forward to it so much. I kind of want to save it to the end. And this one in particular really got me the feels. I mean, it's the school dance, and you're finding out more and more about these characters. And some of my favorite parts about Strange Academy is when you just see the students interacting in their daily lives, getting ready for this dance, seeing how they put on their clothes, what they use to put on their clothes, who they ask to the dance, all that stuff is so fun. And frankly, this is how I think a teen drama should be done. I think it has that memories of you being young, however, still being relevant to today's children, and having like that magical fantasy aspect to it. And this one in particular, you're diving into Calvin essentially being a magic drug dealer for the evil villain Gaslamp, and he's trying to sell these powers to these kids, and it does tend to get pretty dark, and I like that. I like the fact that this bright, happy, cheery book is becoming a little darker as things go on. And how will these kids actually be when they are older? I find that very fascinating. So I can't wait to see more of Strange Academy. I know I still have to read 17, and I will be reading that soon. So wait for that review. However, right now, I'm absolutely loving it. I think it is fantastic. And that's going to be all my top 5 reads for the week. Be sure to stop by next week to see my next top 5 reads. And just, if you like any of these comics, go to your local comic store and try to pick any of them up. I'm sure there's still plenty on the shelves. If not, I'm sure they'll be able to order them for you. Have a great day.